انغام اللي بعت.
ايوه انا انت كمان نزلتي ده، انت بتصالحيني خالص كمان.
خلاص والله فتحت ايميلات امبارح، يعني انا ما نمتش، انا نمت الامان، بس صحيت الساعه
ماشي.
3.
انت بتصالحيني وانا جايه عشان احط السكرينز
لا حاطه السكرينز واتاكدت ان هم
بس في
تمام.
السبيكرز كمان موجوده. انغام بعتها.
معرفش.
طب خليني افتح. بس
انا كده لقطه ستريم على فكره. انا هقول لك لقطه يعني. ايه اللي بروبلم؟ بروبلم ايه؟ لا خليه مش مشكله. ترانسليتورز، انتربريتيشن برضه. طب انت كده بتلقط صوت عشان هم امبارح قالوا. لا ما عندي صوت، ما عندي صوت ولا ارضي. طب ما خلاص انا بفرق. انا اجيب لك السين. الله.
صورة حكيتي مع هذا الشاب، صورة مع حل.
الصورة ما هو ده جيل الصورة. في انتربريتيشن، في انتربريتيشن بس مش عارفة انهي سيشن. صباح النور. هو انت جاي الصورة مش صوت صح؟
Who was here for screen arrangement?
I don't know. I think it's
Bashir?
Bashir. Yeah. You can ask him Bashir.
Bashir, I called
Call them again. Call the Bashir again.
Bashir is not here, I think.
No, it's here.
He's here?
Yes.
لا ما فيش حد انا اللي فاتحة من الموبايل واللابتوب. اوكي ماشي. هطلع من الميتنج، هقفل الصوت عندي عشان الصوت ما يردش. هو فاتح بلايف وانا فاتحة بام كونجرس وفاتحة بواحد كمان، فاحنا 3 جوه الميتنج.
يعني انت اللي بتتكلمي.
انا فاتحة موبايل وفاتحة لابتوب.
لا اللابتوب بدل نعمله.
انا قلت برضو اصل لسه بتاع الساعه 11 مش من دلوقتي ليه؟ يعني وجربتوا تسمعوا بعض يعني؟
نسمع بعض على اللايف.
لا يعني انت اتكلمتي وسمعت هنا وسمعت.
امبارح النهارده بقى عايزه اتاكد. امبارح
ايه انا لسه بقول لهم
امبارح
طب لا نجرب دلوقتي.
النهارده بقى عايزه. امبارح
ايوه. دي على
بالمايك هنا. خلاص ما انا عملت ميوت.
هنا ايه؟ سايلنت. امبارح.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Then from Ethnic IT.
Okay.
Remember that media center.
Ah, the media center only will be working the last day. They cancel the 4 days. Only the last day will be working. That's it.
Only the last day means
The last
on
day.
Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
it will work.
Yes. That's it.
And for this hall, is
It's
there any
working.
issue?
No, no, no. As
No
of
issue.
now, no.
Thank you.
Okay. أنا كده أتكلم. أنس. طب أنا كده أنا بكلمك على الزوم. بكلمك على الزوم. أيوه الزوم الصوت طلع عندك؟
حد على الصوت. ايوه موضوع بسيط بدنا حد على الصوت عشان نعطيه صوت وناخذ عشان نسمع لانه انا
أوكي.
مش اخذ صوت.
أنت سامعني كده؟ ما هي ما.
انا عندي صوت.
Yeah, the Zoom is connected with this mixer. So I need to take from the mixer and I need to give. The Zoom is from this system. So you will take from this system and you will give and you will take. Yes.
مصطفى هون.
موجود بس هو قاعد في المينستيريال.
Why not working?
مصطفى
موجود بس انا فاهمه ان هو اللي فاهم الوصله بس هو قاعد في المينستيريال راوند تيبل بتاعت بتاعت الوزراء.
خلي ساعة لأنه هلا عم يداهمنا الوقت وعم يصيرنا من الساعة يعني 8:30 مع 8 كمان ما عم نعمل شيء يعني الصراحة. هلا بصير الوقت
ما في غير مصطفى ثاني مثلا.
مصطفى يعني فهم اللعبة امبارح عملناها ب 5 دقائق معه.
Research by the UN have shown that African debt in the last 3 decades have been overpriced relative to the real level of risk compared to actual default rates. African claim an excess of interest rate with respect to the real risk that they represent. So to work on the perception of risk will be also very important. And we have talked about more understanding local context and something that has been also talked about by us, especially is the issue of credit ratings that have to look back into their methodologies because you know if you look at research and evidence-based, their methodologies don't match the real risk. The second factor is capacity. The absorption capacity and the capacity to prepare concrete investment projects have been discussed, have been a factor that has always been brought up in terms of the supply side of projects. This relates to institutional capacity, to investment promotion agencies that have been in this forum, and with the issue of doing business that is also announced. There is a lot to be done here, and that has allowed to work with government in doing this. But the only thing that I want to raise, apart from what has been said, is that we have another problem with the capacity issue, that is that we are having a lot of bilateral and not multilateral norms being brought to the trade market. What I call the spaghetti ball of environmental norms. And that puts another burden on the capacity of the country that have to deal with I don't remember now the number, but it's more than 100 of norms that have been put in place that affect trade, not in a multilateral agreement. And so that is also putting a problem, you know, in the capacity of the countries to deal with it. And this spaghetti ball of regulation, especially in trade, will only benefit, as we say, those who can afford the most expensive dollars. because it all becomes a very difficult legal thing to deal with. The third factor we are talking about is the factor of policy and an enabling policy and legal framework, a clear investment facilitation strategy, together with a long-term vision and a capable public sector are still important ingredients for success. We will hear this from the private sector, and we know we have to work more on this. Finalize, my last point is architecture. The architectural, the international financial architecture, we heard the speech from the Secretary General in the inauguration, where we have put forward as the UN the SDG stimulus package. And basically what we are saying is two things. We have an international financial system that is too small to the challenges we have. The indicator we have given is that the World Bank is today 1/5 of what it was in the 60s with respect to the global economy. 1/5. So obviously, you know, the capacity to really have the scale to match the challenges. that
هتلاقي
we have.
الموبايل
check 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 check. الو 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 مصطفى حسافي. check 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 check. الو 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 1 2 3 check 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 1 2 3 check check check. check 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 1 2 3 check 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 1 2 3. ده عقاب ان انا اللي بتكلم في المايك، ده عقاب للي حاطط السماعه. والله انا متاكد هو حاسس بايه دلوقتي. check check check. انا متاكد انت حاسس بايه في ودنك، يعني ده عقاب، انت دلوقتي في مرحله العقاب. check 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 1 2 3. مصطفى حسافي مفيش حد هيروحك وهسوحك. وانا عمري سوحتك؟ انا عمري سوحتك؟ check 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 1 2 3. لا 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 لا. check 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 1 2 3 check 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 1 2 3 check 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 1 2 3 check check check. الو 1 2 3. حد سمعني؟ ما قلتش كلام خارج صح؟ الو 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 1 2 3 check check check.
طب وكده ماشي، بس انا مش سامعه على زوم. انا مش
check
سامعه،
check
وانا مش
check.
سامعه زوم برضو، يعني انا مش سامعه صوت بتاع المايك على زوم. لا انا مش سامعه صوته هو اللي
check 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 check.
كده سمعت صوت التشيك
check
تشيك.
check check. لا 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 لا. الو الو الو.
ايوه كده انت سامعني؟
سامعني؟ سامعني يا
انا سامعاك، بس انا مش عارفه اذا كنت انت سامعني ولا لا. انا بره اهو.
اطلعي بره ايه؟
حاضر هطلع بره.
خليكي
اوكي.
واقفه بره.
حاضر.
هي انت كده سامعاني؟
انا سامعاك.
وانا سامعك. عدي من
اوكي.
1 ل 3 كده.
1 ل 3 1 2 3.
خليكي بره ما تجيش. طب
اوكي حاضر.
هتكلمك دلوقتي. مريم، استاذه مريم هتكلمك.
انا سامعاكي بس انت صوتك بعيد. ايوه صوتك
اتكلمي.
قربي من المايك كده،
أنا
سامعاكي كويس، صوت عالي. اوكي انا كده سامعاكي وسامعاكي صوت عالي كمان.
طيب خلاص شكرا.
اوكي ماشي، باي باي. ادخل بقى ولا ادخل؟
Hey, hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Morning. All of them. But I need to, how do I inform them? Channel 8. Let me give you a couple of minutes to get your headsets. Everybody with headsets, channel 8. I see some thumbs up. Channel 8, everybody. Great. So, let me start with this panel. First, ladies and gentlemen, we have panelists ready? Hello, hello? Is it working? One more minute, please. Yes, yes, let me. Testing, testing. Do we have everybody? Sachin, does it work? Sachin, does it work? Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished panelists and honored guests, welcome to our discussion on innovative finance to unlock investments in sustainable agri-food systems. My name is Mauricio Benitez. I will be the moderator. I'm representing the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations as Agri-Food and Finance Investment Specialist. Prior to advisory, I worked for 15 years in investments as a fund manager in an impact asset manager in Switzerland, where I had the privilege to underwrite over 2 billion of loans to agriculture, particularly SMEs in worldwide. So that gave me a really powerful insight of the problematic that is facing this sector, particularly towards becoming sustainable. And also I managed to design and launch a blended finance vehicle fund that is targeting currently climate smart agriculture. It's a 200 million fund that invests also particularly in emerging markets. But despite all these numbers, and we know that as we embark on this journey, we first need to acknowledge a pressing reality. Our food systems are grappling with a large financing shortfall to transition towards a net zero, nature positive and inclusive economy. Round numbers are 300 to 350 billion annually that is needed for the transition. The existing financing architecture, as we know it, cannot bridge this gap without innovative and scalable financing solutions grounded in robust evidence. That is key. Our world is facing these unprecedented challenges, climate change, biodiversity loss, to the need for increased food security and nutrition, particularly in least developed countries. The transition to sustainable agri-food systems is not just a noble ambition, but an urgent necessity. And at the heart of this transition lies the vital role of innovative finance. In this part, in the first part, of our discussion, we will emphasize the pivotal importance of innovative finance for this transition, and we will lay the foundation for our panel's objectives. But for that, we also need to recognize that traditional financing methods have their limitations. They often fall short when it comes to addressing the complexities, the interconnected challenges, and so forth of our agri-food systems. Innovative finance is therefore our beacon, let's say, of hope. It presents us with the opportunity to harness the power of creative solutions, from blended finance models to de-risking mechanisms, to mobilizing funds for climate resilience, which is a very difficult topic. Innovative finance is not just a buzzword. It is a tangible path towards a more sustainable future. It provides the oil, the money needed for this transition. So today we're here to explore this path together, to discuss real-world examples of innovative finance mechanisms, and to dive into insights, particularly from our distinguished panelists and what they bring to the discussion. Let's keep in mind that our journey does not end here. Our aim, the aim of this discussion, is not only to provide speeches and discuss, but to inspire action and collaboration. We hope that by the end of this discussion, you will leave with a clear vision of how innovative finance can pave the way for a sustainable agri-food system. So now we turn to attention to our esteemed panelists, who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience in the realm of innovative finance. And their insights are for sure valuable, and they will provide, with their experience, food for thought, as we say. And so our first panelist, and we will go, we will start with Michael Detlefsen. He's the chief division of the Division of Innovative Finance and International Financial Institutions at UNIDO. UNIDO is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and he plays a pivotal role in shaping sustainable development initiatives across the globe. Today, Michael will share with us his insights and experiences in promoting innovative finance solutions in agri-food systems. Michael, please let us know more about yourself and the critical role of UNIDO and what UNIDO plays in sustainable development. And for everybody before Michael, it seems that Channel 9 is of better quality.
Thank you, Mauricio, for these kind words of introduction. Good morning, dear delegates and colleagues here at the venue. I'm happy to introduce the United Nations Industrial Development Organization and myself to the participants. I am heading the Division of Innovative Finance and International Financial Institutions at UNIDO. First, a few words about UNIDO. UNIDO is the specialized agency focusing on industry at large. We are, in a way, focusing on SDG 9, on innovation, infrastructure, and industry. And we have as one large program, of course, all elements and components related to agribusiness and Agrifood systems in our program of activities. We are in many ways a project-driven organization, operating at any point in time between 600 and 900 technical cooperation projects around the globe. We have 172 member states, and we are based in Vienna, Austria. I am heading the new division of Innovative Finance and International Financial Institutions because a bit closer, good. Because there is a dire need to complement our traditional way of implementing technical cooperation projects with new innovative sources of finance. In the past, UNIDO has basically operated on the basis of grant proceeds that were provided by traditional donors, and we are now reaching out to impact investors, philanthropic family offices, commercial banks, and international financial institutions, development financial institutions, to basically scale up and complement our traditional technical cooperation work. I think I will stop here and comment later on. Thank you.
Our next panelist is Camille Huret. He's the co-founder of Beyond Finance. It's a forward-thinking organization dedicated to innovative finance solutions, in particular this field. Camille, we're eager to find more about Beyond Finance mission and some practical examples of innovative finance solutions that your organization has implemented. And again, I've been informed that we should switch to channel 8, please. So Camille, when you're ready.
So can you hear me properly? Okay, it's working. So nice to meet you all. I'm very glad to be here, and thanks for the invitation, Mauricio. You cannot hear? I'm not sure what can be done about it. It's good? Okay, thank you. So my name is Camille Huret, and I'm very glad. I'm going to put that off because it's a bit complicated to hear oneself in the headset. So I've been involved in investing in emerging markets for all my career. First as a traditional investment banking for a large French bank, and then I very quickly transitioned to impact finance with one of the leaders of impact investing. That now manages around $5 billion in the sectors of financial inclusion, sustainable agriculture, climate finance, and recently access to water. Since 2020, I joined Beyond Finance as the strategic advisor for the design of a Genderless and Climate Resilience Fund, a private debt facility that is aiming to reach $80 million of investments. We created this with the following main features, actually. The first features is that it's 2X Challenge aligned. What is 2X Challenge? It's an initiative that is led by some development finance institutions to actually proactively target women in investments as entrepreneurs and as consumers. So our project is 2X aligned in the way that we are proactively financing companies that make products and services that disproportionately benefit women in rural and peri-urban areas in Asia Pacific mostly, and with a pocket for sub-Saharan Africa. It's a climate resilience vehicle in the way that we are targeting sectors that we identified benefit disproportionately to women climate resilience. Those sectors being financial inclusion, access to water, sustainable agriculture, and access to clean energy. In this vehicle, we want to implement innovative mechanism that exist in capital markets, but not very much in private debt vehicle. Those are the sustainable linked loan. So we want to work with the companies that we will accompany to set some targets so that they proactively target women as consumer and address their specific needs and constraints as women in rural areas in those geographies. We will have as well a technical assistance facility to help those companies implement. I see, can you hear me okay? It's fine, okay. To help those companies achieve the targets that we are facing through the sustainability linked loans. And the last feature being that, of course, the sectors and the region that we are aiming to serve are perceived as risky, mostly by the private sectors. So we are structuring it with a mix of public and private financing, and with what we call tranches, meaning that some investors will take the higher risk, the first losses that the fund may incur. This in order to de-risk and to attract private investors into what we call the senior tranche. And so you may ask why apply a gender lens to climate resilience? That's the main question. Climate change doesn't discriminate, does it? It's global, isn't it? The fact is yes, all this is true, but the way we address climate resilience does discriminate. It's hard to reach out to the most vulnerable communities, and it's even harder to reach out to women. Women are incredibly involved in food production at all levels of the value chain, but more and more as farmers. They are very much involved in the subsistence farming at family level and community level, and more even at the global level. But depending, like, the circumstances change from geographies to geographies, so there is no one solution fits all. But the circumstances are very often the following. They don't own the land title. They have lesser access to credit. They have lesser access to credit cooperative services, meaning that all the initiatives that are being built to actually provide climate smart and ag smart devices to agriculture fail to reach those women who are key in food security. So what we want to achieve actually, and in the sustainability linked loans KPIs that we will implement, we want to achieve that women are integrated in agriculture cooperatives, so they can benefit from the produce, that they are targeted by access to water company, drip irrigation companies, and that they design the value chain and the distribution in a way that addresses the specific constraints of women. Those specific constraints can be transportation, availability of the products in the long run, financial constraints. So this is what we are aiming to do. And maybe I'm going to stop here.
Many thanks, Camille. Our next panelist is Dr. Abdul Redha Baman, a senior advisor at the Kuwait Fund for Development. So Dr. Batman organizations plays a significant role in financing projects related to sustainable agriculture. Dr. Batman, we look forward to understanding the mechanisms your organization uses to provide these loans, and probably you can provide us a little bit of details on your experience financing agriculture projects.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, FAO, for inviting Kuwait Fund to be part of this forum. And we attended yesterday's activities and the day before. And yesterday I was taken by surprise to be one of the panelists in this room. Then I've been told under the title of Innovative Finance, blah, blah, blah. Then I'll be honest with you. kind of questions that I can answer. And thank you for making my life easy. So, Kuwait Fund is, I would say, the oldest development agency in the developing countries, and one of the oldest in the world. Was established on December 31st, 1961, about 62 years old. And our aim as Kuwait Fund, our philosophy to help others. Who are the others? Government. We are a government agency. We are not private sector. And Kuwait Fund, due to our investment and the projects, we are self-financed. We are not costing the government of Kuwait not $1. We are dealing with billions of dollars. It's all self-financed. We generate our money from our own activities. And we deal with different parts of the world. Geographically, we are almost everywhere, especially the developed countries. We are in Asia, Africa, Latin America, Central Asia, some European countries, and of course, Middle East, the Arab countries. And we deal with all sectors, mainly energy, industry, transportation, agriculture, water and sanitation, development banks, and social, like hospital, health and education. We've been doing this for many years. And myself specialized in agricultural projects. Agricultural projects makes about 15% of our total activities when it comes to the sectoral finance. And out of this 15% of the agriculture, over 90% deals with irrigation projects, and mainly small irrigation projects to benefit the small farmers, wherever they are. And we gained lots of experience. We go everywhere. And we consist of teams to appraise projects. Engineers, mainly civil engineers, agriculturists, legal personnel, finance. And we don't choose other projects. The priority belongs to the governments, and we deal with the government directly on bilateral levels. And the governments are the ones who ask us what kind of finance or what kind of sector we want to finance. We don't tell them choose this and this. No, they tell us we want this. Then we study the matters. If there is irrigation but the main thing, we should have a good feasibility study done by professional consultants. And if there is no feasibility studies, we as Kuwait Fund can give grants to those governments to do the feasibility studies according to our guidelines. And this feasibility study, a grant, doesn't cost the government any penny. Let's suppose the government said, I want irrigation project in this area. Okay, we establish a team, we go there, we appraise, we come back, we write our report, we go to the fields. And one of the main focus we try to do in every project is to meet the beneficiaries, which are the farmers. Because this is our requirement. Like one time, we've been rejected. That we've been told you cannot go to that area because there is a war zone. Then we insisted we want to meet the beneficiaries somewhere. We went there. We took the risk. I'm glad as a Kuwait Fund to go to visit. It is important to visit the areas, to meet the real people, these are more than feasibility studies. From the mouth of those poor farmers, the small one, you can make a study. The consultant cannot write down. You ask them all the questions they want. Do they know who we are? What we are there for? What do you want from this project? There is a lack between beneficiaries and many governments. We try to be the bridge between them. This is in general. And the mechanism of our finance, because our loan goes to these are concessional loans, very concessional loans, maybe the easiest loan in any agency to the governments. And we don't deal directly with the private sectors unless they are guaranteed by the government. And the government asks us, we ask during the feasibility study, we see how much the cost. If it is a bearable amount we can afford by ourselves on bilateral basis with the government. And by the way, we don't finance any project 100%. We can, we have the money, but we don't. Because we want the government to chip in. And sometimes the beneficiaries will go up to 95% finance. And the 5% or more, the government, just to have responsibility. And then we sit, we design the financial plan. If the project is very expensive, we ask the government to contact others. We have sister organizations. We have the coordination groups, mainly in the Middle East. I don't want to mention their names. There are about 9 or 10. They chip in. They follow us on board. Then we design financial plan to finish that project in very short time. This is in general. We are there, and also if there are people from representing governments, I urge you to contact Kuwait Fund for any specific projects in the future, and also you can ask assistance to be bridge between Kuwait Fund and the governments through international organizations such as FAO, ICARDA, IFAD. We are more than welcome to receive your request officially from your government as your priority projects. And I should stop here, otherwise I'm a non-stopper.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Bahman, and again for filling up this panel on short notice. We had a late cancellation that I must also say that a representative of the Inter-American Development Bank was supposed to be here. He suffered appendicitis, and so we have an empty seat, but we have also Dr. Bahman to help us with these valuable insights. And last but not least is our last panelist is Dr. Sachin Kumar Sharma. He's an associate professor at the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. You have a lot of academic experience, but also vast knowledge of negotiations at the World Trade Organization, and these have direct impact on investments, sustainability, and agriculture. So, Sachin, probably you can tell us how these negotiations can catalyze investments in sustainable agriculture over the past 10 years that you have this experience.
Good morning, everyone. I hope I am audible to all of you. I work at the Center for WTO Studies, and this center is mainly work on multilateral and regional trade agreements. And the focus of this center is mainly research, publication, stakeholder consultation and capacity building programs for developing and least developed countries. My key research area are WTO rules. Is it audible? Okay. In this area, I'm working over the last 14 years, and I closely work with negotiators, policymakers, farmers, traders, as well as civil society on this area. One of the key thing which I do, usually I analyze the trade agreements, whether multilateral or regional trade agreements. I analyze it and I'll see that what is the likely implications of these trade agreements on farm income, livelihood, as well as the policy space for developing and least developed countries to adopt agriculture measures which are compatible with their socio-economic situations. Now coming to this topic of innovative finance. Innovative finance not only include financial innovation, but it is also important how we are efficiently using our existing financial resources. And this issue is directly linked with agricultural subsidies. If we see the trend at their estimates are there in the international organization had done, that by 2030 the agriculture support to producer or agriculture subsidies would be amounted to about $2 trillion. There are debates going on where the concern also raised about the sustainability. There are concern also raised about the environment issue, and there is a call by many organizations to repurpose these agriculture subsidies for sustainability. And how this issue is linked with the trade WTO, that's the important point. The issue is linked because at the WTO there are 164 members who are engaged in agriculture negotiations to discipline agriculture subsidies. What we mean by disciplining? That we negotiate how much subsidies a country can provide to its agriculture sector. So the negotiations going on for a very long time is negotiations going on, and now the issue of sustainability also now connected with this whole disciplining the agriculture subsidies. Now there are 2-3 things what my role and what we usually do. Now we see the situation of developing and least developed countries. The farmers there, they face multiple challenges. Like some of the challenges already been mentioned, that they don't have much access to institutional credit, market failures are there, land holding size is very low, it's between 1 hectare to 2 hectare in most of the least developing countries are there. And then when we are talking about this sustainability, it should only be about the environmental concern. There need to be a comprehensive sustainability where there need to be a balance between economic, social and environmental sustainability. So the negotiations going on since 2001 on disciplining agriculture subsidies, and even after 4 months, at the same place as Abu Dhabi, there is 13th ministerial conference will be happen here, where the main issue on agriculture is how to discipline agriculture subsidies. One important aspect, there are a lot of issues are there related to food security, there are related to livelihood in the agriculture negotiations, but one of the important implication for investment point of view is that under the WTO there is a special provision, what we called provision for development, we called it development box. Under this, least developed country and developing country can provide input subsidies to farmers, and this input as well as investment subsidies. And this investment subsidy is extremely important for the farmers because given the challenges about climate change, then technology adoption this investment is very, very extremely important. But the way this negotiation going on, there is attempt to curtail this flexibility of least developed country and developing countries. If we see the position of developing country, especially African group, least developed country, G33, ACP group, which are representing more than 100 countries. So they are demanding that there should not be curtailment of this provision, because the government need to provide support to the farmers, especially investment subsidies to farmers to address this issue. Besides it, there are many other issues also we are discussing on the food security aspect as well. But this is one of the important thing, that investment subsidy provision is extremely important for low income and resource poor farmers. That is a special and differential treatment for them. Yes, there is a need to be repurposing of the agriculture subsidies as well. It's not that there are no environmental concern in least developed and developing country, but solution need to be according to the socio-economic situation. If there are three pillars of sustainability, social, economic and environmental, and if we ignore any pillar, then it's not going to be sustainable. For the moment, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sachin. This is it's been very insightful again to hear your experiences and where you come from. So as you can see, we have a varied group of individuals coming from different angles to the problem. And so Michael, probably we now can engage in a discussion on topics that could come from these experiences. And we've heard Dr. Baumann coming from the public sector, financing particularly together with the public sector the needs of in the countries. Camille is coming from more the private sector, financing private companies. And Sachin is really engaging with everybody to actually implement rules of engagement. So you've been driving innovative finance at UNIDO for quite some time. How do you think the role of public-private organization, public-private partnership could influence innovative finance and this particular role in promoting sustainable agriculture? Michael.
Thank you, Mauricio, for the question. I think listening to my colleagues here on the panel, there's been a lot of talk about sustainable supply chains and policy requirements to ensure that the agri-food sector is transformed properly over the next years to come. I would like to state, sorry, I'll take this off because I hear my own voice. I would like to state that we have for about 2 years a new leadership. We are, as an organization, headed by Dr. Gerd Müller, who is the former Minister of Development from Germany. And he was personally very instrumental in actually transforming the laws about sustainable supply chains, starting off in Germany and now also being adopted within the EU. And that is a very strong focus that we have in all our interventions, especially when it comes to agri-food systems and the agribusiness sector in general. I think also I see a lot of commonalities in terms of the interventions from my colleagues. By that, UNIDO as a technical assistant agency very much collaborates with the various intervention logics that were explained by my colleagues. And that is exactly something that my division is supposed to even help and complement further going forward. So just to take the round in terms of my colleague here to the right, trying to scale up and making our technical cooperation interventions more impactful, we clearly need We need organizations which have the financial strength to come in and participate in the interventions. We have a number of projects that are designed at a project level, as I think also was indicated by Camilla in terms of designing specific interventions. And we are now in the process of seeing, okay, how can we really scale up rather than looking at a specific region in a country or a country as a whole. We are trying to come up with a more regional approach and ideally also a global approach. And the way we do this is that we have a number of other mandates that are vested up on UNIDO. So besides the technical cooperation, service delivery, we also have a very strong research intelligence kind of mandate. Besides a convening role, we are, as I mentioned, based in Vienna. We have 172 member states that all have their embassies in the city, and we have almost on a daily basis, we are organizing what we call expert group meetings or sessions to deliberate on issues that are of common interest. Just to give you a few examples, we have successfully just concluded a climate change strategy. We are working on a blue economy strategy. We are working on various agribusiness related strategies and interventions. And this is done in collaboration with our 172 member states, meaning that it paves a good foundation to actually then in the next step go out and develop and design larger, more impactful technical cooperation interventions. And since UNIDO has not the funding, the financial strength itself, we are basically a bit like a midwife. We are reaching out to the ones that have the deep pockets, European Union or institutions from this part of the world, or conventional funding partners like the Global Environment Facility, Green Climate Fund, and so on. We are significantly building on this to also reach out to new partners in order to make sure, in order to be able to build more large and more impactful interventions. And of course, and in that context, the notion of public-private partnerships is key, because it requires, for sure, the buy-in from the governments, perhaps also the beneficiaries who would be directly affected, but it also requires a partnership with the other DFIs, IFIs, private sector organizations, research organizations, to make this as holistic and impactful as possible. I just wanted to mention my last intervention. One pilot project that we are doing at the moment with the Green Climate Fund, which is a climate setup coming out of the UNFCCC mandates and is focusing very much on climate change and adaptation. We are developing together with the GCF a project for addressing climate mitigation and adaptation aspects in selected agri-processing companies in Southern Africa. And we do this as a complementary intervention. There is a technical assistance arm where we are the leading agency, and there is an impact investment component which is led by an impact investor. Both organizations are accredited to the Green Climate Fund, and thus this makes it a new venture, because we are trying to blend public sector funds with funding from impact investors. And I think this is the road to go. Both executive heads of both organizations are closely following the development of this pilot project with a view that we can scale it up going forward. I will stop here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot, Michael, for linking all these different aspects and getting us to a real-life project. And Dr. Baumann, following that discussion on climate change and how this is affecting agriculture, you have been doing for quite some time feasibility studies for agricultural projects. And normally, I imagine in primary agriculture, and that they're affected by climate that is changing, is being more volatile. I remember because doing this in the feasibility studies, we're really projecting what was in the past to the future with certain variability, and doing some sensitivity analysis. Let's say if this project were not to cope under these scenarios that they were based on the past, then we might have a risk. What is your response as a project? Now it's very difficult to see the past and project the future because there's more variability. How are you dealing that at the fund? How are you now conducting the feasibility studies, knowing that climate change is, well, climate is more variable now?
Thank you. So when it comes to this big title, climate change, I personally try to avoid it because it is a big global title. There is a big business behind it. Wherever you go now, everybody talks about climate changes, wherever. Even you go to a mosque, the Friday speech, or khutbah is about climate change. You go to a wedding party, there is a climate change everywhere. So, yes, we are part of this change or changes. You whether like it or not. These climate changes, let's say the global warming, it is happening. There are reasons. We are the reason as a human being, our activities, our business, our industry, our agricultural activities. So Kuwait Fund deals as part of this big family of UN and the development organization. We are trying to catch up and update ourselves with this concept, climate change. So when it comes to feasibility studies, as I said, we are dealing with professional consultancy firms. And one of the main TOR for any study, any project, being water or agriculture, we ask the consultant, with the help of the governments, the technical people from the other side, who put the right TOR, the consultant should not tackle, nobody can tackle the climatic change. To avail a chapter regarding that project, the location of the project, and how it is affected in the future. Forget the past. In the future, let's say building a dam. This is part of our activities, mainly in Africa. Let's say River Niger. It's a long river. There are some dams there, because there is a water right between countries. Okay, we build a dam. There was a village, small village, has to be wiped out of the map. It is a must. The government convinced those people. Those people are human beings. They live there for hundreds of years. So they don't want to leave, but the land belongs to the government. They encouraged them. They gave them whatever subsidies. They moved. Now, at this time, we are building the dam. But before that, the feasibility study said it will be like this and this and this, and all the negative and the mitigation measures. This is one example. Then you have other irrigation projects. Others, suppose you are building an airport. Because we don't have the answers. As Kuwait Fund or as a specialist, it is the job of the professional consultancy who hire environmentalists or environmental scientists or whatever to give us the projection of the future. Might be wrong, might be right, but it is a must to to specify what kind of projects, what kind of climatical problems we are facing, what are, and the main thing, the mitigation measures. This is in general in our feasibility studies. But it is all a prediction. It might be all wrong. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Bauman. You're the specialist on this, so your experience is valuable for everybody to really see a bit of how it works on organizations like yours, feasibility studies, which are the pillar of any project. And Camille, you are now designing and launching an innovative fund that is blended finance, and you have described that it de-risks the loans. You even said that it's also innovative on how you link sustainability to the outcomes, so you align the incentives of the projects. But all this is coming just before our lunch break, so probably you could dwell more on that, on those aspects, explain it better, and say how do you mean by de-risking in particular when it comes to agricultural value chains with smallholders in mind, that they are the riskiest to finance unless they are aggregated in very formal enterprises. But that would be interesting to know from you.
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Good. Perfect. Yes. Well, you're right. Actually, it's sometimes hard as a private sector to invest in agriculture, and especially in agriculture in emerging markets. Some zones are particularly affected by climate change, so are perceived as even riskier, and as you say, more and more risky because we look at the future. So it's challenging, actually. I would argue the first risk mitigation to investing in agriculture in this context is investing in climate resilience solutions. That's really the first layer of risk mitigation. So that's what we are aiming to do, actually. So to identify what are the specific needs in specific regions, and then to help make the solutions accessible to the vulnerable populations, and especially women farmers in our case. But like other funds wouldn't, and that's very good. There is a lot of work for everyone here. So. The second, because we really want to make sure that investors feel safe, and we want to create a track record. We want to demonstrate that it's feasible, and so that's why we induce what we call blended finance, which is public and private partnership. The idea is to make development agencies, national development agencies, work together with the private sector. And most of the time, those development agencies have the role of de-risking the facility. What does it mean is that they will, would losses occur in the fund, they would be the first to absorb those losses. And then the further losses would affect the senior tranches. What we are trying to demonstrate is that not only the senior tranches won't be affected by losses, but we want to preserve as well the junior. And for this, to preserve the junior tranche and to demonstrate that it's not that risky, to invest in this sector, there are other tools that you can implement. And the tools is in the way you deploy your fund. So we at Beyond Finance, and from our expertise that we gained through 13 years in investing in those sectors in emerging markets, we have two key words: diversification, granularity. You don't want to put all your eggs in the same baskets. So we diversify the sectors. So that's why sustainable agriculture represents a portion of the sectors we will invest in. Because in sectors and in countries and region as well. So no more than 15% of exposure per country. Per commodities as well, we need to have diversification. So that's one aspect, the diversification and the granularity. If you take a hit, whatever, be it a political hit, be it a war, be it a natural disaster, be it climate change, etc., you want to diversify your exposure. That's one aspect. And then in the structuring of how you structure the loans to every individual company you invest in. So there is not that many options actually. Usually you will take what we call pledges, mostly on fixed assets. What happens is that most of the companies we want to invest in don't own those fixed assets, or are very few. And what do you do with fixed assets? You're a responsible investor. Like, will you seize those assets at the first occasion? No. You don't want to disrupt. You want to give time to people to adapt. So what we are aiming to do is to take alternative collateral. And one instance of this alternative collateral is that some of the companies that we want to invest in are actually already emitting carbon certificates on the voluntary market. And we want to consider those carbon certificates as actually a side product of what the companies do. They produce climate smart access to water system. That's the main activity. Second activity, they produce actually carbon certificates, and those carbon certificates are receivables that we can take as a collateral for the loan. So we are trying to be efficient and innovative in the kind of collateral that we take from those companies.
Brilliant. That's an interesting aspect of innovative finance. It's that you de-risk on your fund, so how you enable other investors to, or investors in general, to take this risk, but also on the asset side, right? That you allow the companies to continue producing, taking these risks, but also not jeopardize your fund if there was a default. And on that vein, Sachin, you were discussing, or one of the topics was that you mentioned, it was repurposing these subsidies that is out there now in the negotiations. That's one aspect that caught my attention, because it's a large fund, potential funding for climate resilience, and is, as you say, in the discussion. But what other aspects would you highlight from World Trade Organization negotiations that are, I mean, 1, 2, 3 key challenges and opportunities for least developed countries to tap into these opportunities for investments in sustainable agriculture?
Thank you. Okay, let's start with one simple fact, that who are the largest investor in agriculture? The largest investor in agriculture are the farmers. And who are the farmers in least developing and developing countries? They are the low income or resource poor farmers. As I already mentioned, these farmers face multiple challenges in these countries. Maybe it's institutional credit, the farm size is low, so there are a lot of market failure is very frequent, where you see the example in many of the least developing countries where the producer, they throw their produce on the road rather than taking from farm to market. because the cost of transportation cost is more than the value of the produce due to the market value. And this is the very frequent. It's not only in Kenya or African country, even Asia, you will see this is the frequent. Now, one important aspect in this whole negotiation is about the competition. Maybe in the business, we always agree that survival of the fittest. That is that if you are fit, you will survive. But when I see this negotiation, when I see this agriculture trade, it's the survival of the fattest. You have more money, you will survive it. And this is the competition of unfair competition, what we are looking in the international trade. Now, even if I go further, even this Addis Ababa Action Agenda on financing for development, they also mention about Doha Development Agenda. They also mentioned about special and differential treatment for developing and least developed countries. So they also recognize that this competition, this is also has implication for the investors, especially for the small farmers and resource poor farmers. This is the extremely important. Now the challenges here are twofold happening. One is that in some of the places the farmers, they face unfair competition because of the subsidized products coming in their market. Second, they have also the domestic challenges which I already mentioned it. Now, because it impacts the farm income, and then it also have implication how much money they are investing. Many studies have shown that many of the farmers are in distress. And this is a big issue in the negotiations as well. Already, if you see the FAO stat, around more than 700 to 800 million people are suffering from hunger. And who is ensuring the food security in least developing and developing countries? This is the small farmers, because majority of these are the farmers are there. So these farmers, when they face these challenges, especially from the subsidized product, that has impact on the farming. The another aspect is that whatever the little support these farmers are receiving, the negotiations going on at the WTO, when I projected this whole negotiation till 2030, when I did the projection, then I found that it would be very difficult for least developing country and developing country to help their farmers in time of the crisis. If some of the proposals which are tabled in the negotiation, it has huge implications. Now, yes, we all wanted the competition, but we also need to see the ground realities of these countries, whether you go to African countries or to many of the Asian countries. This aspect we need to look into more detail. Repurposing is good, but when repurposing, then we need to go into detail. But when we are talking about the repurposing at the ground level, then maybe one side not fitted to all. There are socio-economic challenges. There may be one thing is very suitable to Kenya, maybe not to the other country. So this need to be looked into it, and that's why the ACP group, least developed countries, G33, African groups, they have made multiple objectives to have a special and differential treatment in this negotiation, so that they can also go for the sustainable agriculture. And this repurposing, even many countries within domestically, they are also taking a lot of action to repurposing agriculture subsidies. But in the crisis situation, things go haywire. You have multiple examples are there. But there need to be a policy space for them, because it will ensure food security, it will make sustainability, and sustainability in a comprehensive manner, not only environmental but also social and economic as well. These are some of the issues which we are going to discuss in next ministerial meeting in Abu Dhabi as well. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sachin. And I think we have time for one more question to all, and this is probably coming as well from the discussion. Is according to the climate policy initiative, there's a lot of growing climate finance commitments, pledges, and actually money available. But only 2% goes to sustainable agriculture, particularly climate resilience. And this discussion aims to inspire, to promote interventions, collaborations in financing sustainable agriculture. So, in your opinion, how can we advise, or how can we incentivize organizations like global organizations like UNIDO, development organizations like the fund, the financial institutions, private institutions? We know it's risky, we know it's challenging, but we know it's needed. How can we inspire them to do more in sustainable agriculture with innovative finance? So this is open to any one of you. One, again, is allocate more to this, because it seems that there is money, it is growing, but it's only 2% growing to this. How can we allocate more based on your experience? It could be really just food for thought, not the specific examples, but how can we inspire people to do it? Yeah, Dr. Obama.
Okay, thank you. Usually I don't start, especially if there is a lady, usually I say ladies first, And so when it comes to the agricultural improvement and production, I do believe personally, from my field, my experience, I was a scientist, applied researcher. Then for the last 20 years, I've been a developer, financier of agricultural projects. Right now, Kuwait Fund, for the last 10 years, we've been financing R&D activities, research, specific research, through different entities. For example, ICARDA. We are so happy with ICARDA's activities with us for the Gulf area and the Arab countries. For FAO in some projects for research, with AOA, Arab Organization for Agricultural Development. We are having some specific projects, scientific projects. These are all on a grant basis. The purpose is to improve the yield, for example, improve the production, improving the seed, which has to do with the climate changes, tolerance, salt and heat tolerance. If we emphasize on the research, we finance research, this is not the final solution, one of the solutions for the future. Especially this morning, I was sitting with this gentleman from Singapore, I believe. He showed me excellent scientific projects related to rice and other crops. Excellent. This is the application of technology. And my last sentence, I'll be responsible of what I'm going to say. I represent myself in this sentence and don't quote anybody. According to my reading, what I see, traveling to different parts of the world. And in this meeting since yesterday or the day before yesterday, and you all hear these terms: zero hunger, elimination of poverty, eradication of diseases. They want more trillions of dollars to solve those problems or to reach to those goals. I guarantee you will never reach. We will never reach to those goals. These are dreams. There's only one solution, the way I see it. If you all agree, let's start from 1st of January 2025 till the end of 2035. 10 years. Let's stop financing wars. Let's just stop waging wars against each other. Just imagine if you do some calculations, how many zillions or trillions of dollars spent on wars. Companies, governments, traders, world traders, war, what do you call them? Forgot the name. This is start. Only 10 years. Let's have a resolution. Stop war. War is everywhere now. War in the east, war in the west, war up north, war down south. This statement was a song by Bob Marley 45 years ago. Nobody listened to it. Look where we are now. Look how much money we are spending beside lives and constructions. If you stop war for 10 years, let's save 50% only for that amount, for those trillions. You might reach to the zero hunger and elimination and eradication. 50% of that amount. And the other 50, give it bribes to the policymakers. And thank you.
We could end our panel with that note. Thanks a lot, Dr. Bahman. It's very inspiring and timely. Michael, you wanted to add on this.
Thank you, Mauricio. I just wanted to add also one or two comments on what you formulated as a challenge. I think indeed there is quite a transformational change happening as we speak. Probably sort of initiated from last year's COP meeting, and that is about a transformational change that is happening at the level of the multilateral system, so the UN system, but also the DFIs, the international financial institutions, and specifically with a view to actually reach out and see how can we partner. How can we partner more in the sort of global challenges that are ahead of us? There is the World Bank Group, which is going through a major reflection process and has come up with an evolution roadmap as to how it sees itself, the need to change in order to address the current global challenges. There are ongoing discussions also at the level of regional development banks, and that is for us as a comparatively small agency very interesting to be part of and see how the whole global development agenda is changing these years. And I think also on the part of the impact investors there's a change in the way of going about providing investments. It's not necessarily any longer just on the basis of a profit maxim, but there is a recognition of ESG aspects, of social aspects, environment, sustainability, and so on. And I think if these two global trends will meet, and they are meeting, and they are continuing to discuss, it will be all very nice. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I think we need to move on. I come from Switzerland, and I believe we are 10 minutes to the time. So we still need to give the audience a chance to ask questions and debate with us. So if you have a question, please. To anyone, I think. Do we have microphones? Yeah. Yeah, I understand you have to go to the podium and make your a very your question, please. That's the hint that I'm taking. Loud and clear. Thanks.
Well, thanks a lot for the question, and you are right. I'm not saying we have the solution. We are trying to find ways to do our best because actually we strongly believe that food security is much about like local production and what will be sold in local markets. And what is produced locally is mostly produced by those women, smallholder farmers on small plots. And that's exactly our purpose, actually, to make that they are integrated in a larger organization so that they get access to some solutions. It won't solve everything, but some solutions. So if you integrate those women in, let's say, coffee cooperatives, those women may not be, their main production may not be coffee. But still, if the cooperatives implements a program that includes food transformation, conservation, and even transportation to local markets and small cities. This is something that cooperatives can have a key role to play. And so that's why we want the cooperatives to make a conscious effort to reach out to those women smallholder farmers. Then as well, the foreign exchange risk is crucial, and there is not one solution fit all, definitely. And talking about the not one solution fit all, one of the key aspects of what we want to achieve, the first step, the first KPI will be reach out. Reach out to your women consumers. Reach out to your women farmers and ask them, what do they need? What is their specific challenge and what do they need? We don't want we have the solution and we bring it to you. We want to understand a bottom-up approach. Tell us what you need. And then incrementally, the intermediary company will pilot some projects to address those needs. So yes, the difficulty of this, I agree, is there is no one solution fit all. We are talking about very local context and specific context, but let's all try to do our best and be a drop in the solution.
Thanks, Camille. I saw another hand raised. From the gentleman probably was answered by Camille already, so that's good. Here, please. Yeah, there's a growing crypto market, 1 trillion and growing. It's a bit volatile, I must say, but it's growing for sure, and it could be used to finance sustainable agriculture, but also de-risk probably some initiatives. So the question is, how are you planning to use these assets for investing in sustainable agriculture in the next 10 years? Because it's current. That's, if I understood correctly, it's a growing source of funds, but is underutilized probably for development. Michael, please.
Thank you for the question. I think at UNIDO I mentioned we have like 600 to 800 technical cooperation projects ongoing at any point in time. I remember we have one in Bangladesh where we have introduced blockchain features into especially supporting smallhold farmers with actually tagging their cattle farms to basically be able to track their whereabouts, and on that basis this resulted in establishing a market that was of interest to the local insurance market, in turn providing improved lending facilities from local banks. And this is what UNIDO is doing very often in its interventions, going into local systems and analyzing what would be potential avenues to pursue. We have another project just coming out of the top of my head where we are supporting cacao small farm holders in Ghana through a blockchain technology that allows a consumer in the Netherlands, for example, to trace back down to the level of the farmer and actually also provide tips. And I believe that's probably cryptocurrency. I'm not an expert, but this is more on a sort of project level and a bit fragmented. But if we as an organization see a global opportunity, then probably there's one or the other colleague or technical department who will grasp it and see how we can globalize this. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very interesting subject, and it's another important flow for climate finance in particular now. Very interested the crypto market to be part of the solution. Problem again is probably the exchange is, that becomes a bit more stable to be able to really see with which exchange you could engage, and until it's probably, I don't know if you agree, next 2 or 3 years when things stabilize and you have more regulation, might be easier to invite them to the table. But yes, it's a growing funding source. And I think we could have question time for one more question, if there is. If not, allow me to conclude the panel and thank our panelists for their contribution, the lively discussion, for the flexibility, our guests for sharing with us this time. Hopefully this will allow you to take home some of the urgency in financing sustainable food systems, because again it's a sector that is contributing largely to climate change, 80% of biodiversity loss. And yet is still very inefficient. 40% is being wasted. So you know these numbers. The urgency to invest in this is crucial. So I hope discussions like this can plant a seed that you can take and work with your organizations. So thanks a lot, and thank you, and please enjoy your lunch.
طيب I don't know online, is it you ADG or أمنية? We don't see your mic connected, so you need to connect your mic. الناس كده سامعين بس.
دكتور حكيم. مريم. حكيم. We cannot hear Hakim. Usama. دكتور حكيم. Anyway, we'll start. Good afternoon. If you can hear me, all of you, I hope you can hear me. This is a silent meeting, meaning that you'll have to wear your headphones. Allow me just to do some house rules here. On your channels, the floor is 8, Arabic is 9, English is 10, French is 11. Dr. Abdul Hakim Al-Wahir, I hope you're with us. I cannot hear you, but if you can just give a signal that you're with us.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum, Kayan. I can hear you, but there's a lot of echo. I hope the other windows can mute their mics. Okay. And I do not see the panel. They showed it to me a while ago, but somebody hid it and I got the presentation. I want to see the panel as well.
So I'm the only one who has the mic on. Can you hear us now? Can you see us?
No, there are 2, 3 logged in windows and they all have their mics on and it's giving me a lot of echo. If you speak now.
الزوم الميكروفون مفتوح.
The main screen where is the presentation coming out is mic on, and there is also assistant mic on.
Okay, kids come first. Okay, can you hear us now, Hakim? A little bit better?
I can understand the echo is still coming back from your side, but okay, you can carry on.
Okay.
As long as my voice is clear.
Okay.
And I still don't see the panel.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kayan Jaf. I am with FAO, the Regional Partnership and Resource Mobilization Officer based in Cairo, Egypt.
You can move on, Kayan.
Okay, I'd like to welcome all of you to the session, which basically is to find out how to integrate the private sector into our work. The session...
Now I don't hear.
You can't hear. Can you hear Hakim? Yeah. We seem to have a problem. Hakim, can you hear us? Okay. If I may just proceed. So, as you know, we are here today as a part of the 2023 World Investment Forum, which is with the theme of investing in sustainable development. Now, this session that we're doing today is basically FAO's track at the World Investment Forum, investing in transforming agri-food systems. That's the main session. And this one is about the private sector. Basically, we have with us, I'll do the quick introduction of our esteemed panelists. The session is designed to hold the space for the private sector to share their interpretation of